Ladies and gentlemen, this is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Friday, the 9th day of February, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Your purple tip of the day. I'm not sure I've ever done this one before, so listen carefully. If you have a bug out location separate from your place you normally reside, the purple tip of the day is to drive to your bug out location at night. Seriously, drive it at night. You may never have done that. If you've got an alternate route, make sure you drive that alternate route at night also. Now, out here in the Missouri Ozarks, at night on these back roads, it's pretty much like being in a cave. You don't know what dark is till you're driving through the national forest at night out here in the Ozarks on these two-lane country blacktop roads. That's your purple tip of the day. If it applies to you, go for it. We have patient waiting agreement with my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began half a century ago his quest to become very knowledgeable, gain expertise in the area of ham radio, radio frequency engineering, and so forth, which eventually his teenage pursuit of ham radio became his lifelong career. Morning, Tom.
Morning, John. How are you today?
If I felt any better, it wouldn't be legal. How about yourself?
Well, I'm still getting over that cold, but doing much better. A little bit of hacking here and there, but I've got a mute button, so everything will be fine. And you know, right, John, out here in the Ozarks, speaking about driving at night, yes, it gets mighty dark at night out here. As a matter of fact, we had a short power outage one evening, and it was overcast, and the power went out, and I want to tell you, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. That was very, very dark.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Oh yeah.
And for people who reside in urban, suburban areas, there's always ambient light, always ambient light. But that's not the case out in the Ozarks. Tom, working from there and moving forward, let's say you are driving through the national forest at night, and you have a mechanical problem with your motor vehicle. You need to get help. So you got your ham radio. You got your cell phone. The question is, how do you tell people to get where you are? How would you do that?
Well, I would think you better know how to read a map and be aware of your surroundings, or have a GPS if it's working in your area. Those are the only two ways I can think of. But the map would be number one. John, I don't use a GPS. I use the old-fashioned map method. I can tell directions. I can look at the sun. I can find my way around with a map just fine.
Right. Well, I use both, and of course, I encourage people to have both skills. Listen carefully. If maps are still kind of a mystery to you, this applies all over the United States. All even-numbered roads that have a number, like 44 or 66 or 88 or 90, those are east-west roads nationwide. All even-numbered roads are east-west nationwide. All odd-numbered roads are north-south roads nationwide. Now, right there is a big help, because at least you know you're either going north or south or east or west. That eliminates two directions right there, doesn't it, Tom?
That helps quite a bit. Yes, it does.
Now, there can be exceptions to what I just said. We have one in our neighborhood called Highway 30, which goes south for quite a few miles before it starts going west. But that's the exception. The general direction is west, but you'll see that in many of these highways where there can be exceptions for some period of time. So that's a good starting point there. Now, the county roads have letters, at least in our state, A, B, C, D, M, M, O, O, and so forth. Those are county roads, and there's no particular rhyme or reason why they, at least none I've ever figured out, as to the letter designation as to any direction whatsoever. So that's something else to keep in mind. But I know one thing I do, Tom, every time I leave for a new destination, I'll reset my trip meter, and that gives me some idea of my starting point, how far I am from my starting point, how far I've got to go to my designated my destination. And something else, if you're not paying attention on federal highways, the interstate highways, they have a mile marker every tenth of a mile. So you're never more than an eighth of a mile from one of these mile markers, are you, Tom?
No, that's true. And, you know, I've noticed that, and it seems like years ago they only had mile markers. They didn't have them every tenth. Is that true?
I can't tell you when they put the tenth of a mile markers up, but they're there. That's all that matters. Since they're a tenth of a mile apart, you're never more than 1/8 of a mile, which is 220 yards from a mile marker. And that nails it down really narrow when you're calling for a police response, a tow truck, paramedics, fire department. That narrows it down really tight for these guys to be able to find you very quickly, doesn't it, Tom?
Oh, yes, it really does. You know, some of the crazy names on the roads around here, people actually steal the road signs. And I actually had a problem with my pickup truck once and had to call to have it towed. And I couldn't tell the guy where I was, John. It was really sad. I mean, I told him within a mile or so I was north of such and such river on this highway, on this state road. And I saw he went right past me, and I had to honk the horn and get his attention, and he came back. But I was parked on a road, and there's the pole and no street sign. People steal them. They put them in there.
Right. Well, that's usually teenagers doing that, but they're also shot up. That's been a problem for many, many decades out here in the Ozarks, is having road signs stolen or shot up. You know,
they finally there was one right off of Highway 19, that we both travel frequently, and they finally gave up on that one. I've lived here 20 years now, and they actually gave up, John, and they put a numbered. I think all these roads have numbers as well, like a county road number, and they put that up there instead of the actual name. The name of the road was Hog Trough Road, and that sign had been stolen so many times, I think they just gave up on it.
Right. Well, sometimes I've seen them put them 12, 14 feet up in the air. That does seem to help if they're really high.
Yeah.
I know. But having the ham radio to call for help doesn't do much good unless you can tell people where you are for the help to get to you, does it?
Yeah, that's very true. And, considering calling for help, what frequency do you call on? How do you get a hold of somebody? You have to, many times on ham radio, you have to know what frequencies are in use in that particular area. If there's a repeater that's commonly used, that's a good thing to do if you can reach it with your mobile unit. And if not, the most common frequency out there is on 2 meters is 146.52, and that's a simplex frequency, which means it's just car to car, point to point. There's no repeaters or anything like that, and it's just basically a national calling frequency. And when I'm traveling, that's the frequency I leave the radio on. And it's amazing how many people you can talk to along the way on a highway or a trip that are monitoring that frequency.
Right.
And you can talk for quite a ways.
And as part of the things that you learn when you take your ham radio test and get to be part of a ham radio club, you get to know these frequencies, what works, what doesn't work, when you need certain frequencies for certain areas. And there's also reference books that give every repeater frequency in the United States, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. And there's also websites that will have everything listed state by state, and in some cases you can narrow it down to counties. Those are real handy, and if you do buy a radio, you can set it up and pre-program all those frequencies in there. Many of these 2-meter and dual-band VHF, UHF radios, they have hundreds of memories available. And then they even have software programs that you can load up all these frequencies into the software, almost in a spreadsheet format. If you know how to operate a spreadsheet, you can set these things up pretty easily and then transfer all that data right into the radio, so it's now pre-programmed. What I did with one of the units I use, John, is I set it up with several frequencies that I use to talk to some of my ham friends, and then I have it scan back periodically on to 146.52, that national calling frequency. So it's set up as like a priority channel. If there's any activity on there, it'll lock onto it. And so if somebody's calling for help and they're within range of my unit, I'll certainly hear them.
Right, right. Well, that's the whole idea. One of the main reasons, I think, to have ham radio skills, have the ham radio license, have the ham radio equipment, so that if you are out on the road, now, if you live in an urban, suburban area, you may not understand or know that there's still vast areas of the United States where cell phones simply do not work. Or if you have the wrong carrier, your cell phone won't work. For example, before I moved out here 14 years ago, I had Verizon. I had good luck with Verizon, their service, and so forth. But out here where I live, Verizon simply does not work. So I had to transfer over to AT&T. And AT&T in my part of the Ozarks is what works. I understand down there in Springfield, where Vince Finelli lives, that Verizon is the king of the hill. But not this part of the Ozarks. It's AT&T. Anything else, you're basically wasting your time. And it's important to know these things before you get on the road so that you can make appropriate preparations. And so I agree with you, Tom. All the listings of all the repeaters nationwide, they are available online on one hand. On the other, once you're on the road, you need ink on paper reference book because, you just do, because that'll be with you regardless of cell phone reception or internet connection or anything else. So ink on paper reference book when you're on the road is certainly the way to go. What do you think, sir?
Oh, I agree 100%. And these maps, for instance, here in Missouri, John, that restaurant we used to go to all the time before they closed, they always had the free maps right up there at the counter. So you could pick up a map, and I always picked up a couple here and there when as needed. And I kept one of those maps in each vehicle. It was a wise thing to do, and then learn how to use it. I'm just used to maps, so it's second nature to me. I don't have any trouble with it. And then as far as AT&T, yes, it works the best in these parts, but there's still areas that I frequently travel through all the time. In fact, meeting with you the way we do, John, there, at our meeting place, I'd say 2/3 of that distance there is no cell phone coverage. There's none, and if you have no alternate communications method, you'll be left hanging high and dry. And now the ham radio will work because some of the ham guys I know have some pretty good antenna systems, and I can easily call one of them. But other than that, the cell phone does not work for a big portion of the area. You would think it would, but it does not. So they're making it better all the time, but slow but sure. But for the time being, there's a lot of dead areas still here in the Ozarks.
Right. Now, here's something that'll help everybody. If you are traveling or either frequently or occasionally into these remote areas, there's a company called Wilson Electronics Incorporated. They have what they call a signal booster. They call it that because it's easier for people to understand. What it really is a small repeater, but they call it a signal booster. What this does, now your cell phone is limited to 5 watts radiated power. Most of them, I think, are probably around 2 to 2.5. What are they putting out these days, Tom?
I don't know. I don't think the cell phones are much more than 1 watt. I've never seen one to go higher than that. I know the bag phones. They're really low power.
Yeah, the original bag phones, I think, had about 5 watts, but they're really low power.
Those were 3 watts. Those bag phones were 3 watts.
They were 3. The current cell phones are run between 1 and 2 watts, give or take. The signal booster is putting out 30 or 40 times that much, 30 watts, 40 watts or more. And what it does is take your weak signal and blast it out as a very powerful signal with an external antenna on top of your roof. And then it takes whatever signal is coming back to you. It could be very weak that you could never hear otherwise, and it amplifies the incoming signal also. So that will give you cell phone service in places you would never ever have cell phone service without the signal booster. Their website, and I don't sell these things, but the website for Wilson is wilsonsignalbooster.com. That's wilsonsignalbooster.com. Or you can just go to Wilson Electronics and find it. But and there's other companies making them, but these people are the biggest and the best known for these devices. Now they have a similar device that goes in your house. If your home is in a location where the cell phone service is either weak or non-existent, they have a similar one for the house where you have an outside antenna and the amplifier, and your cell phone will work in your house, where previously it either didn't work at all or was very spotty. Like to some of the callers I get in here, their cell phone signal is very weak. It does the same thing in your home. These originally meant to go inside metal warehouses where the cell phones didn't work at all, but people started using them in their homes also because they want to have their cell phone work.
John, what do those Wilson units, what do they cost? I think everybody'd be interested in knowing that.
Well, let's see if we can get to that. Here.
Well, I thought you just might know approximately what, are they hundreds?
I'm looking at them right now, the different kits. Here's one for a house for $380. Let's see.
Well, that's quite a bit to spend, but I think if somebody has if their home is in a dead area and they want to improve that function of their phones and make them work at their house, I think that's probably a wise investment. Just save up and get it.
Yep. And they have different versions. Some of the bigger ones can carry 10 or 12 cell phone conversations at the same time. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
Are you spiritually and mentally armed and ready for the battle ahead? Don't miss Hear the Watchman Dallas 2018, March 23rd through the 25th at the Hilton Dallas Fort Worth Lakes Executive Conference Center. Join the remnant body of Christ at this powerful, life-changing event. Activate your faith and join 18 prophetic teachers of truth, including L.A. Marzulli, Pastor Paul Begley, Dr. Donna Mary Colbert, along with this year's special guest, prophetic prayer walker Henry Groover. The time is now to gain ground and make history as we approach turbulent times. Get baptized, get trained, be freed of strongholds that bind you. You will be empowered, you will be blessed. This could be the most important weekend of your life. Join God's Army in 2018. Visit hearthewatchman.com to reserve your seat today. This event will sell out. Go to hearthewatchman.com and make your reservation. And in the end, Jesus wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com. Educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. That toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at the All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th day of February, visiting with Tom Berryhill. Tom, yesterday was the day we were supposed to draw a postcard for the Energy Cleaner promotion. I neglected to do so, so during the break I drew one of the postcards, and here it is. It's Dale in Altamont, Utah. Dale in Altamont, Utah. Dale, I'll be in touch with you to let you know that you now have the opportunity to get an Energy Cleaner, $70 off, and a mattress pad 10% off, and I'll be in touch. Tom, getting back to these Wilson amplifiers, entry level for the motor vehicle models begins at $180, and they go up from there to $200 to $280 to $380 to $480, and then they have some even more powerful ones for RVs if you need one for your RV. It's something that could literally, not figuratively, but it could literally save a life. If you have an emergency, you're in a remote area, and you need police, paramedics, tow truck, fire truck. It could literally save a life, couldn't it, Tom?
Well, it sure could. And, there's another simple way to set up something like this, and it doesn't work in every case, but it's called a passive repeater. And basically what you do is you set up an antenna at a higher level, say on a tower or a mast on top of your roof or something like that, and then you run the feed line back into your house with another antenna, and it's just one antenna connected to another antenna. And the idea is you pick up the weak signals from the antenna that's higher up, and that brings it through that transmission line and radiates it back through the antenna inside the home. And then as you talk, your transmitter or your phone or whatever it may be will also transmit back through and in the reverse.
Well, that gives me an idea. When I first moved out here 14 years ago, I had a Motorola cell phone that had a jack for an external antenna. I don't believe any phones are made that way anymore. And I had a Yagi antenna I put up on my roof pointed towards the nearest cell tower. And I could actually make and receive telephone calls on my cell phone in that manner. When that Motorola stopped working, I couldn't find another one with the phone jack anymore. So I can't do that in that manner. But you gave me an idea just now that I can possibly put an antenna on the other end of this coax here in my kitchen and see if that works, because I've got plenty of antennas and connectors. It's just a matter of hooking it up and seeing if it works. It would be a fun little experiment. Wouldn't cost me anything.
No, it would be something to really try out and see if it works for you, John. And I'll say one thing. That phone you used to have, I can't remember the name of. No, John, it wasn't. It was something. It was a. Well, I can't think of it.
That was my first one. I loved my StarTech anyway. But.
Well, you had that one Motorola. It was a very, very thin phone. But anytime you called me on that thing, I thought you were standing in the same room. That thing sounded better than any phone I've ever heard.
Well, that's Motorola for you. Yep, that's their reputation. Yep.
Yeah, and when you couldn't get another one of those, I could sure tell you were on a cell phone. It's
Yep.
never been the same. Yeah, those were great, but no longer
Well,
available.
well, my next cell phone's going to be mil-spec. And I had lunch with Command Sergeant Major Page the other day, and I was looking over his mil-spec cell phone, and there's almost no difference in cost. Many of them are still flip phones, but they have the smartphone versions also. But there may be a possibility, because I haven't looked at them that carefully, of a external antenna jack on one of these mil-spec phones. That would be not that wouldn't be all that unusual, would it, Tom?
No, and really it wouldn't be that hard to modify one of those things. If you can figure out how to open the phone up and get into the internal workings of it, I guarantee you there's a place to tap in for the antenna. There has to be for when they calibrate them as they're being manufactured. They have to have a way to tap into that circuit. So I'm certain that there's some way to connect something externally to it, but you'd have to rig it up yourself.
Well, we'll see. It'll be a work in project and a work in progress, and we'll see how that plays out. Well, Tom, we're only a few weeks away now from our ham radio class here that we're going to have with our preparedness group, which will also be the first meeting of our new ham radio club. I'll be talking to some of the current ham radio operators. We've got at least 3 licensed guys that I'm aware of, 2 besides myself. And I've talked to one of them already. He's pretty pumped up over it, and the other guy I haven't caught up with yet. But our plan is to have a class every Friday evening before movie night where all the people interested in getting their ham license can study together and compare notes and work together as a group towards getting their license. That'll be a fun springtime project for us. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I was corresponding recently with one of my listeners, and it occurred to me that he really needs a copy of the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. He's been struggling to find his place in life, his chosen career, so to speak, and I believe that this book would help him, as I've mentioned to all of you in the past. It will help everybody to gain the clarity, gain the focus that you need to achieve any goal that you want to achieve. That's what this book will do, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It's a free download at my website if you want to download it and read it there. Copyright's long expired. It's been out about 50 years, about half a century. You can get brand new copies off Amazon.com for $4 or so delivered to your door. Great book. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. When you place your order, I'm the guy that packs them up and ships them. When you place your order for a mattress pad, I'm the guy that packs them up and ships them. I pack them up in a postal service priority mailbox, take them to a little country store at Cherryville, Missouri, where every Friday night they have an all-you-can-eat catfish dinner with sides and dessert and a beverage for $8. How about that? Little country store at Cherryville, Missouri. The energy cleaner is a healing device. It only costs $285, shipping included to American zip codes. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. 90 days, that's 3 months. 90-day money-back guarantee. If you have joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, what in the world are you waiting for? I use mine every night, by the way. Now, I'm pretty active. doing all kinds of things, riding my 750-pound motorcycle, jumping out of airplanes, up and down ladders, running a Kubota tractor. Of course I have minor aches and pains. That's a given. I wake up pain-free every morning, and you can also. The mattress pads that go with it, well, check them out. Twin, full, queen, king, California king, the handy travel size. They're all right there at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can use PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, or you can call my toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency communications and about our new ham club that we're going to be establishing here in our neighborhood in Viburnum, Missouri, Davisville, Missouri, beginning the first Saturday of March. Why am I saying this? You say, well, I live 500 miles away, John. Hey, you guys can do it too. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in Maine or Florida, California, Montana. It doesn't matter. You can set up a ham radio class and start a ham radio club also, can't they, Tom?
Oh, yeah, it's real easy to do. Go online, look up the nearest town or city in your area, and search out ham radio clubs. You'll find one. And if there isn't one close by, start your own group. If there's several ham operators. You know, John, we had several local guys, and we had our own what we called a simplex frequency. We just talked point to point. There was no repeater. We didn't have a ham club. It was a real informal type of thing, and we'd meet at the local restaurant in town. But we would get on the radio almost on a daily basis in the evening, most of the time, and sometimes late into the evening, and we'd be on there talking about just everything. And it was like a club, but it was just a loose knit group. And you know, a funny thing happened though. One of the guys was telling me, he says, I was at the grocery store the other day and checking out, and I was talking to the cashier, and he says, this lady behind me says, hey, I know you. You're so-and-so. I hear you on the scanner. You and those other guys are talking about all kinds of things. And I thought, oh, boy. And he said she was very interested in some of the topics we talked about, a lot of scientific things. We'd talk about medical technology, and apparently everybody, out here in the country has a scanner to listen to the volunteer fire departments and so on, and they happened to find us on there as well, so they had us programmed in all the scanners. And so he encouraged her to learn and try to get a ham radio license and get on and join us, but I don't think it ever happened.
No.
And that group kind of fell apart. But you can easily find somebody. But that's what we did. That we didn't have a club, so to speak, but we had quite a congregation of guys, and we had a really good time with it. So you can set up something formal or informal, whatever works. And either way, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Right, it is. It is. Well, homes with scanners out here are numerous. I wouldn't want to guess what the percentage is. It's fairly high. Maybe 15-20% of the homes have a scanner that they listen to regularly. And you're right. They want to hear what the volunteer firemen are doing, the paramedics, and the sheriff's department. That's what they're listening for because it's their neighborhood. They want to make sure their neighbors are okay. If there's something going on in the neighborhood, for example, we had an escaped criminal escaped from the police here, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And the search didn't last very long, but it's important to know if there's an escaped criminal in your neighborhood on the loose, isn't there?
Oh, that's really important. And, the only problem with scanners nowadays is so many of these systems have gone to digital modulation, and you have to get rid of these analog scanners and get something that'll pick them up. And then since they've gone to digital, they can easily encrypt those signals. Some of the police departments run encryption all the time so that you can't tune into them no matter what. I don't believe the fire departments do that, and they may still actually be on analog systems. I don't listen to them at all, but I do have the equipment to listen to them, but I just don't do it very often anyway. So that's something to pay attention to, is what type of system that agency is using, and you may have to buy a newer type of scanner. So be careful if you're buying something used on eBay or something older. It may not work in your area, especially in the major metropolitan areas. Yes. So, yeah. And, you know, John, something I learned when I first moved out here 20 years ago, coming from the big city, we'd hear sirens all the time. It was no big deal. There was always a siren going off, and you just ignored it. It was not that big of a deal. But I was talking to a local guy, and a siren was off in the distance, and, boy, he just stopped and trying to figure out which direction it was coming from. And I said, that's just a siren. He says, yeah, but, you know, what you're going to learn is out here, he said, when you hear a siren, that's somebody we know that's in trouble. And I never thought about it, but that was very true. Yeah,
that's right.
Because the population in our whole county here is only 15,000. So, yeah, everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yeah, and that's the way it is, and that's very true. And I'll go for 2, 3, 4 months at a time, 6 months sometimes, and never hear a siren out here, ever.
That's true. Yeah.
So when there is one, I'll walk to the window. I can see the blacktop road from here, and I'll attempt to. Usually, I can tell if it's the police or the fire or the paramedics. They have different sirens and different ways that they sound. But I'll try to identify if it's the police or the fire or the paramedics, and then I don't keep my scanner on all the time. I'll turn the scanner on and attempt to find out what's going on in the neighborhood, because we all know each other. In fact, there's dozens of people out here I'm related to by marriage, so cousins and so forth. And yes, it's important. You want your neighbors to be safe. You want them to be okay, and so that's what we do out here in the country. We look out for each other, don't we, Tom?
That's right. That's right. You really get to know who everybody is. Another thing is, you know what cars belong on your road and which ones don't. So everybody kind of watches that too. Right.
In addition, I end up I'm on the road every day. I go to lunch. I go get the post office, which is 7 miles one way. Then typically go to get lunch, which is another 10 miles. So 17 miles one way to get lunch every day. I end up being a first responder myself, coming upon a motor vehicle accident, either as the very first vehicle or maybe the second. And since I've got the town car equipped with strobe lights, I will help direct traffic, because you come around one of these curves at 60 miles an hour, it could be only 100 feet before you come upon a stopped vehicle. Which can be pretty exciting, to say the least. So, and usually there'll be a deputy or a volunteer fireman show up pretty quickly by themselves, which still leaves one end of the traffic to be dealt with. So I'll keep the town car at one end. I did this about a year ago for one of the highway patrolmen. He's very grateful for my help. He had his patrol car at one end of the accident site. I had the town car at the other with my strobe lights on, and I stayed there in that position for a better part of an hour, because it took that long for the tow truck to get there to tow away the damaged vehicle. But this is part, if you live out here in the country and you drive these roads very much, you will be a first responder, whether you like it or not, won't you, Tom?
That's right. And that's why it's good to have some emergency medical knowledge, John. I know your group has classes on that occasionally, and I need to be at some of those. I really do. I want to learn more about that myself. It's an important skill to have, because you never know what you're going to run into. You know what a big problem is in these areas, and I see it in a newspaper all the time, people running off the road, one-car accidents, rolling over, crashing into trees, and you know what it is? I actually had a guy that owns a tow truck company tell me that the lot behind his office there was just full of wrecked cars, and he pointed at those cars. He says 90% of that is from cell phones, playing with phones. He said one-car accidents, running off the road, hitting other people, and so on, but it's all from phones. He said it's worse than drunk driving. So that's going to happen, and it doesn't matter where you are, people not paying attention, inattention to the road.
Right.
So,
well, the teenage granddaughter.
Yeah.
the teenage granddaughter of one of my cousins killed herself texting while texting on this road. These roads out here about 4 or 5 years ago. It is a tragedy, and there's no excuse for it. And it's you can talk on the phone and not have any trouble, but when you're looking at the phone, messing with it, as opposed to just talking, that's where the danger is.
Yeah, well, I had one car, the one that got wrecked, John. It had had a Bluetooth interface to the phone, and the car would actually talk to you. There's a woman's voice that would. You just told it the number you wanted to dial, and it dialed the number, and I mean, it was really nice. So if you wanted to use your cell phone, you never had to take your eyes off the road or just push a button on the steering wheel and start talking to it. Well, I kind of miss that function. I don't have that anymore, but that was really great. But the texting and all that is a very dangerous thing.
It's very dangerous.
And this goes with ham radio too. Now, a lot of us ham guys run mobile units, and that's something else you have to pay close attention to is not taking your eyes off the road and focusing on that radio too long. So it's really good to get it set up before you leave and for your trip, and keep your eyes on the road and not that radio. It's
absolutely
a dangerous thing.
Well, if I want to make a phone call, I find a place to pull over. If I'm on the interstate, I actually wait for an exit. I don't like being on the shoulder; it's not safe. And take an exit off, make my phone call, and then get back on the road. That's what I do when I'm driving myself.
Yeah, that's very wise. Very wise.
Okay, if you got a question or comment for us, give us a call at 800-313-9443. For our ham radio class, Tom, I'm going to look into getting ink on paper books that we can all study together in our class. There's no internet service, of course, at the American Legion Hall, and we can all sit there and study and quiz each other and learn together with ink on paper manuals or books, whatever we end up choosing to get. And it'll be a social event as much as anything else, won't it, Tom?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be very, very interesting. And we'll just see which direction it goes, but it ought to be a lot of fun. And,
if it's fun, these Baptist preachers all know if you got fried chicken, people will show up.
Is that you're going to have fried chicken at this meeting?
No.
Oh.
I don't want people to show up and be disappointed. But at movie night, we do have hot dogs and brats and popcorn and ice cream and candy and soft drinks and iced tea and coffee and so forth. Those things will be there for the training that we have beginning on Friday nights in March. But there won't be any fried chicken, no.
Okay.
I know when I was on the board of directors of the senior center there in Viburnum, we served lunch 3 days a week, and one day a month we had fried chicken, and the place was packed. And one of the women on the board of directors, she said, "John, you think these people never had fried chicken before in their life? The way they show up here."
Oh yeah.
Fried chicken was always our most popular meal of the month, and we always had a capacity crowd. I missed the senior center. It was at the country club there in Viburnum, Tom, and you were at one of our events here. We had an event set up, a Patriot
Oh, that was a
Symposium.
nice place.
Yeah,
I remember
Patriot
that was a very
Symposium.
nice place.
Yeah, a very nice place. That's where my daughter got married, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw the ham setup for one of our instructors. We're going to have one of our helpers. Bill. I won't mention his last name, but Bill.
Yeah. I
got
Bill.
to see his Radio Shack. It's compact. It's only about 3 feet wide, but he's got 5 or 6 radios set up there. Everything's very neatly laid out and organized and very professional looking. And I compliment Bill for his doing such a good job setting up his Radio Shack.
That's great. Well, he can maybe take a photo of that and show it to us when everybody's there and explain how he has it set up.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's something else, John, is that a lot of the ham guys will show off their equipment and explain how they have it all hooked up. They do like to show the photographs and describe their antenna system. And many times that gives an idea to somebody else to do something similar. Or they may be having a problem with a particular type of antenna, and then they learn something, from someone else that's done a similar system, and it solves a problem. So these discussions can be they can go on for quite a while, and there's a lot of knowledge to be gained by
there is.
participating in the club.
Here's our break. Here's our break, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th day of February. Speaking with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency communications. It's not just ham radio, is it, Tom?
No, John. We cover quite a lot of different topics. Yes, you get at these ham clubs, and boy, they talk about everything: building things, home repairs, car repairs.
Right.
Somebody may have just purchased new tires for the car. We talk about that. I mean, they cover everything. But there's that common bond, the ham radio. And, I've said it before. I'll say it again here, that once you become a ham radio operator, it's almost like joining a fraternity. You're instantly on the inside. You're connected, and we're all friends. And men and women alike.
It's a worldwide fraternity.
Yes, it is. And, John, that helped me so much in business when I had my factory running. I was able to get through to these companies when maybe other salespeople couldn't get in there. They couldn't make a connection. I got so much business because so many of the engineers were ham operators. And once they found out that I was a ham operator, it was just like that door flew open, and I was 100% welcome there. And
that's right.
It really, oh yes, it really, and that goes on to this day. So I think it's just another way of meeting people, very interesting people from all walks of life. You never know who you're going to talk to next on that radio.
Right. Yeah. The ham radio operator, he could be a backhoe operator, or he could be a CEO of a corporation, couldn't he?
Goes on all the time, John. If you want to really read about some famous hams, just go online and do a little bit of a search for famous ham radio operators, and I think you'll be amazed at some of the names that pop up. It'll really surprise you. It's still to this day surprises me, some of the people who are ham operators and are famous. Some long since deceased, but many still with us. And a long time ago, I guess when I first got started, one of the first people I talked to was a country music guy, Ronnie Millsap, on the ham radio. It was in Morse code, but yeah, I got a QSL card from him, so that was a long time ago. But,
most of the astronauts, I believe, were ham, or a good percentage of them.
I think, yes, if not all of them. I mean, it's, you see, anybody listening to this and developing an interest should really look into it. You don't have to have extensive technical knowledge. You can learn it as you go, and the initial license that you get, the entry level, will get you started. And I've always explained it as an apprenticeship. You can get on the air and you can learn as you go. It's almost like a self-study type of program, and you can learn as much as you want and advance, or you can get to the level that you're comfortable with and stay there. It doesn't matter, and you can talk all over the world. It's very interesting, and it can be, especially for the young people just starting, it can be the start of an engineering career.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got the list of hams here: King Carlos of Spain, the King of Morocco, the Sultan of Oman. That's just the beginning.
Oh yeah. Many Hollywood people, all the politicians. It's amazing.
Here we go. Tom, thank you, sir. We'll have you back next week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Okay, we've got a top of the hour break. We'll be back with Dr. Phil Myers. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th day of February. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you, if you have a bug-out location, a safe haven, a different spot than where you live day to day, I want you to encourage you to drive that route at night. If you haven't done it before, drive that route at night. If you have an alternative route, drive that alternative route at night as well. Depending on where you are, some of these roads can be really dark and look entirely different at night. So you need to do that. Drive both those routes at night, assuming you got an alternative route. And that's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient waiting in the green room, my friend, Dr. Phil Myers, D.C. Dr. Myers is a chiropractic physician living and working in my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. If you want to get started with Dr. Myers, real simple, doesn't cost a thing. Call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, John. How's everything going today?
Well, good. I was just reading a headline here that Walgreens pharmacies have 8,100 stores, and they're now have a official policy is that men can use the women's restroom if they choose to. I'm sure that women really like that, but that's what they're doing. It's a crazy world we live in, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I don't have a comment.
Well, let's say your lovely daughter is going to go swimming.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Don't have no comment.
And well, I've said this publicly. If my granddaughter is changing to go swimming, and I see a man preparing to walk into the women's changing room, he will have a very unpleasant experience. I can guarantee it.
It was really interesting. I was at the one of the malls here in St. Louis, and I was taking my daughter to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And they actually it was really nice. They had a community lounge.
Right.
Where you could actually go, and it's family orientated, and so it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously. So I liked how the mall had accommodated that type of lifestyle to help parents out with their kids.
Well, yeah, that is helpful, and I've seen this more and more in public spaces. A restroom specifically meant for people that have children that need to deal with that situation, and that's a good thing, which is a separate one from what I started out talking about. Well, Doctor, we look forward, and I get emails and phone calls, people looking forward every week to the health tip of the week, and what would that be this week, sir?
The health tip of the week would be, we're looking at your aspect of this 2018 versus any other year. Like right now, we're looking at this present moment as a clean slate. And I was talking to one of my clients the other day about what was going on in his life, and he immediately started talking about how the past, how he lives his life, in how his life had been living, but it was all past orientated, or I can't do that, or I was unable to that, or this is what happened, or that's how life it was. And I'm like, okay, well, let's rewrite your story. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, let's not project that future out anymore. Let's restart, because we all know, and it's cliche now more of anything, but it's very true in living in this present moment. And so what does that mean? To live in this present moment is to really acknowledge at this exact moment where are you? What is going on? What are you doing? Like, for example, I am currently sitting on a chair with my legs crossed, just chilling out, facing north, and with the door to my left, the ceiling above me, the floor to my ground. I mean, it sounds silly, but in this present moment, my awareness of this moment is exactly it. It's not like what I'm thinking about, like, 30 seconds ago I had a person in here, the door was open, and I was standing. And I'm not living my life like that anymore. And the way, as I'm explaining it, it sounds silly, but that's a lot of times how we actually unconsciously live our lives. We live it from a past visualization instead of a present acknowledgement. And when you live it in a past visualization, you're projecting then that past into what you hope or what you would like to see, or specifically not like to see happen for your future. And so the health tip of the day is to really get that. The health tip of the week is to really get this concept of living in the present moment and letting go of the thoughts that you used to have for the past and what you would like to see, and very importantly, what you don't want to see happen in the future. The one that we say, I don't want to see this happen, it activates a law, and that law is the law of resonancy. And the collective energy of surrounding everything does not understand the word not. It just doesn't. It doesn't compute in the vibrational frequency of everything. And so when you say, I do not want this to happen, the universal energy surrounding everything, all it hears is, have this happen.
Exactly.
This happens. And so when you say, I don't want to gain weight this year, and you do everything not to gain weight, well, most of anything, you're going to struggle more to, quote-unquote, get your body weight to where you would like it. And you're mostly sometimes going to see yourself not as successful as what, and this is a coulda, woulda, shoulda, but what could possibly happen by letting go of that, quote-unquote, not belief structure that resonates right back at you, exactly what you're resisting. There was a phrase a long time ago I used to hear, it's like, what you resist persists. And that's exactly what they were talking about, is the resistance or the desire for something not to happen. And when you continue living in that space, you are definitely not living in the present moment. It's very fear-based. It's very it can become very anger, fear, resentment, judgment, because what happens in that type of space when you're living in that past projected future, especially in a not verbiage, is when you start seeing other people, places, things, events having what you're wanting or having minus what you're not wanting, the psychology of the ego-based mind system really gets perturbed.
Right. Yeah, I can easily see that. Well, Doctor, I had one of those paradigm shifts myself. I've probably had several in my life, but the first and most notable was my senior year in high school. We had a college night where one of the local high schools was set up with representatives of various colleges, military academies, U.S. military services, and so forth. We had a choice of about 20 different presentations to go to, and about the second or third one, I'm walking along with one of my football buddies, and I said to him, "Oh, I get it now. The previous 11 years, I really didn't get it, why I should even be paying attention in school. But that night, I got it, and it was a massive paradigm shift, and all my instructors, my teachers at school, they were wondering if I was even the same guy after that, because I was really paying attention. I didn't miss a single day of school my senior year of high school. I was really motivated because I finally got it, and it was a massive paradigm shift, and it changed the rest of my life in very positive ways. But when these things happen, you need to pay attention to them and act on them, don't you, Doctor?
Oh, absolutely. A very similar thing happened to me when I was in massage therapy school. I used to have an inkling that I could figure it out real easily and not have to really practice. I had that kind of talent. And one day, again, I had that paradigm shift, like, you know what? I'm going to put some effort into really sitting with this information and working with it, instead of working against it or trying to change it or thinking that maybe I got a better way of doing it or whatever, but really just saying, okay, I'm going to learn this style in its system and getting that very, very, very well understood and practiced within me. And so I started, I was practicing with my friends and family for that week between classes, and I came back the next week to class, and we were going over the same techniques, reviewing from what we had learned previously, and my instructor looked at me, she's like, "You practiced, didn't you?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." She's like, she could tell, like,
oh, yeah.
She's like, "You're good." She's like, "You're good at what you do, but wow, you could tell you practiced that." I'm like, "Yes, I did."
Yep. Yeah. Well,
instead of resisting or thinking, and that's the thing. It's the human condition. Now, how or why or whatever, how it got that way, it's insignificant. It's just recognizing that, okay, I am doing this thing, and that's how getting back into the present moment is so important. Is, well, if you're living in the past, you don't get to these epiphanies. If you're living in a projected future, you really do not get these epiphanies. But when you really sit there and work in a present moment state, you really start getting what's actually happening. And here's the cool part. Here's the cool part of living in the present moment is, and we all have this. This is not no one's immune to this. We all have a conversation in our mind about this past and this projected future. And 9 times out of 10, you're having this conversation with somebody, place, or thing. Like, for example, let's say it was your boss or your dad or your brother, your sister, your spouse. You have this picture of them in your mind. You actually can hear a voice that sounds like theirs talking to your own voice that you're talking to. Now, here's the thing. Who's having this conversation? You are. You're right. The only one having this conversation because you're the only one in the room. So right now is acknowledging, okay, I got this thought process going on in my head. I'm having the conversation about what I would like to see happen in the future. Because currently this is what's happening had just happened, and I don't want to see this happen, so I'm going to have a conversation in my head about this whole scenario. And so you'll spend 5 minutes, an hour, even a day sometimes, having this conversation intermittently going through your mind. And so all day long you've been living this past, projected future conversation. And what that does physiologically to your body is it continually raises cortisol. All day long, cortisol is activated. And the longer cortisol is activated, that cortisol, it steals all your nutrition. It steals all your energy. I mean, you might as well just go and cut the cord on your gas tank and just drive off. And then next thing you know, you're 5 miles down the road and you're empty. That's what it's like to your body. I mean, you literally are drained. And so, unlike a car, that when you cut the gas off, cut the gas cord and drive away, unlike your car, your body says, I don't need that back seat. It's not really being used, so I'm going to steal a couple fibers from that back seat and put it into the gas tank. And so you continually get gas, get fuel to go and do your day, but at the expense of healthy bones, at the expense of relaxed tone and flexible and strong muscles, at the expense of your heart starts to fail and you start losing muscle tone in your heart and you get congestive heart failure, at the expense of your mind being a little more foggy and not being able to memorize or remember specific events like a person's name. Things like that start disappearing into fuel to feed cortisol. That's a very simplistic way of explaining what happens to your system. So anybody that's out there that's saying, I would like to have more energy. Well, here's something that's so simple and so easy. Well, not simple and easy, but it's a very simple and easy thing to get going in your system as long as you practice.
Right.
And practice, right?
Right.
And so learning to practice how to let go of the past and let go of projecting that future, that projected future, and learn how to actually stay in the present moment is key.
It is key. Hold that thought. We got a break. Call number's 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
Are you spiritually and mentally armed and ready for the battle ahead? Don't miss Hear the Watchman Dallas 2018, March 23rd through the 25th at the Hilton Dallas Fort Worth Lakes Executive Conference Center. Join the remnant body of Christ at this powerful, life-changing event. Activate your faith and join 18 prophetic teachers of truth, including L.A. Marzulli, Pastor Paul Begley, Dr. Donna Mary Colbert, along with this year's special guest, prophetic prayer walker Henry Groover. The time is now to gain ground and make history as we approach turbulent times. Get baptized, get trained, be freed of strongholds that bind you. You will be empowered, you will be blessed. This could be the most important weekend of your life. Join God's Army in 2018. Visit hearthewatchman.com to reserve your seat today. This event will sell out. Go to hearthewatchman.com and make your reservation. And in the end, Jesus wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th day of February, visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. You're listening, you're sitting there, you're thinking, boy, I got this issue, I got that issue concerning my health. I wonder if Dr. Myers can help me. Well, wondering isn't going to get it done. Here's what will get it done. Call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation. That number is 314-878-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So the question, most people are like, okay, look, I get it, Doc. Stop living in my past, not living in my projected future, live in the present moment. How do I do this? Okay. Really easy. First things first, take a breath. That's the first thing that you do. Because when you are living in the past, projected future, non-present moment, conversation in your head, you are not consciously breathing. And so what I say is catch your breath. Find the breath and get connected to it. Second thing, once you catch your breath, and this is non-linear, so you can be in any order. Second thing is to feel where you're feeling any sensation. Like, is that conversation that you're having in your head connected to this butterfly gurgle in your stomach? Is it related to that little strand of neck pain that runs up the left side of your neck into the base of your skull? Is it connected to that low back pain that just popped in all of a sudden and said, "Hey, remember me?" So you get back to the sensation, the feeling, not the emotion, not the anger, resentment, judgment, fear, worry, pride, love, joy, or not the emotion, the sensation. And the sensation is something that is descriptive in term: light, heavy, dark, achy, burny, heavy, twisty, butterfly, taunt. Those are like wow, I feel my jaw is just tight. Okay, that's the sensation. You stay with the sensation, and you breathe with the acknowledgement, and you breathe with the awareness of that sensation. And then look around you and recognize where you are, and recognize who you're with. And you'll recognize, wait a second, I'm alone. Even if you're in a group of people, you'll recognize, like, wait a second, who was talking there? None of these people were talking to me. I was talking to me. Okay. And then you let the conversation stop. Immediately now you're in the present moment. The conversation is stopped. You're no longer living in the past and no longer living in a projected future. You're breathing, you're feeling, and your mind is silent. You are now meditating. Welcome. That's how you do it. And now, how long do you do that for? 77 times 77 million times a day. every second that you can be conscious and active in that present moment, the better. And the more you do that, you'll start seeing such amazing things. Because it does so much for you. A, you no longer are activating the law of resonancy. Law of resonancy never shows up anymore because you're no longer saying something to not happen. Because there's no conversation happening in the unconscious mind system. And so by staying present, you basically shut the door on the unconscious, subconscious communication that's sending the aberrant noise out into the world to say, hey, bring this thing to me. Come on, bring it in. It's what I'm not wanting. Come on, let me see it. And so it immediately stops that in its tracks. And then you get to then start utilizing the techniques and the practices of meditation to create the world that you are, and by doing the things that you need to do that.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 9th of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Something I frequently mention is a free download on my website, a book titled The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. A great book. There's probably 25 or 30 similar books of the same genre on one hand. On the other, very few of them, there are a few, but very few of them give specific details, specific instructions on how to gain the clarity, gain the focus that you need to achieve any goal you want to achieve. This book really does that. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. When you place your order for an energy cleaner, I'm the guy that packs them up. I take them to the Cherryville post office, and they go out priority mail. If you have issues with joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, the energy cleaner will probably help. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. Check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. We have the twin-size, full Queen King, California King, the handy travel size. Everything's in stock, ready for immediate shipment at my website, thelibertyman.com. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. When you send me a check, all my address is right there at my website also. Toll-free online 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Got a question or comment for Dr. Myers? Give us a call. The call number is 313-9443. Let's continue, Doctor.
So that's basically the health tip of the week, is to really work on living in the present moment, excuse me, and letting go of the past and projected future. So, and with this, it literally is going to open up so many doors. It will relieve so much stress and tension. There's so much. There's things you can do every day. We can always choose to put food or not put certain foods into our mouth. We have that ultimate choice. No one is ever there. No one is ever there taking a fork or a spoon and shoving something down your throat. I don't know any relationship or any person that's suffering from that. That someone's literally saying, here, you have to eat this, and I'm going to force this whatever food down your throat. No. We can choose to go to the McDonald's or the Burger King or the Whole Foods or the cook the food myself, and what ingredients do I put into this food? What substance do I put in? Remember, garbage in, garbage out, life in, life out. It works that simply. So just as easily as you have the choice to choose what you put into your mouth, you also have that same choice to say what goes in and comes out of my mind. And just like hearing, like, oh, wow, gluten is neurotoxic to my brain and my gut? Oh, my God, but it tastes so good. I don't know if I can let go of it. Okay, well, at least you now have the information and you can make an informed consent choice as an adult. Just the same now as, oh, wow, living in my past and living in a projected future and saying I just don't want something to happen is unhealthy for me. Oh, so living in my present moment will be more healthier, but it's so much easier just to have that conversation in my head and yell at my spouse or my boss or my brother or sister or my mom and dad in my mind and just hope that that conversation does something out in the real world. Well, you just realize that ain't true. And that when you start living the ability in your mind to let go of that past and let go of that projected future and live in the present moment with your breath, with your feeling level, and then noticing that your mind turns off and then your heart opens up to a whole new possibility. Again, you can choose that just as easily as you choose not to put gluten in your mouth. It just takes practice.
Right.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everybody, you all are, and so was I, and addicted to these programs. It's what you've done 100 trillion billion times, and whether this be the first time you've ever heard of this context or the 50th time, and maybe the 50th time is the last time you actually have to hear it one more time. I just told someone the other day, and I've lived this. You hear it once, okay. You hear it twice, perk up. You're going to hear it 1/3 time. And if in a really short period of time you've heard it once and you've heard it twice, why don't you be the third person to tell you? So you don't have to have another person tell you once more, because that third person is always the loudest, always the most influential, and always the one that's going to hold you at a higher state of accountability. Always. So might as well be the third person. And the more you get into it, you'll be the second person. And then when you really get good at it, you're the only person, because you don't have to hear it from the world that gluten's bad, that living in your past and your projected future isn't healthy, that having dairy is neurotoxic to the gut and brings more inflammation and more mucus to the system. You don't have to hear it anymore, because you then become the quote-unquote authority and the expert in the knowledge of wisdom that you now have. Because it's no longer educated left brain. Okay, I've heard this data before. It's now you're practicing it a little bit, and you're working with the emotion and the feeling level of it, i.e. your experience. And then as you experience it and you get these epiphany aha moments, it becomes wisdom.
It would be a fun process to go through, Doctor, I think.
Oh, it's a blast. And and the thing is, the more you practice it, the more you'll see, like, just at first, it might be just the person that, I use the road rage one easy because it's just easy for people to get. You're driving down the road and someone slams on their brake all of a sudden, but you were in a hurry, and even though they stopped to stop an accident, you got perturbed. Well, that's just an automatic action. And so you just, as you practice it, and it's like, okay, that's simple. And then the next one is more complex, where you have a huge financial thing that just showed up in your life, and someone's saying, you pay me now, and you owe me this, and you owe me that. And like, pure example, I switched business names and business entities here at my practice. We've switched from La Giana to Phi Wholeness. So again, go to our new website, which is PhiWholeness.com, P-H-I, Wholeness, W-H-O-L-E-N-E-S-S. Check out our website, get on our mailing list, also our Facebook page at Phi Wholeness, and you'll get tremendous amount of information and the stuff that we're doing now. But anyways, I digress. But we switched business entities. And so I got a letter in the mail today, and from last night, and I was being charged like $500 to open up a new account. I'm like, I could have easily, in throes of emotional turmoil, like, oh my God, more money going in and out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I just called them up, like, hey, got this issue, here's what it is. Oh, no problem, Dr. Myers. We waive that. You're the same business. We understand. Thank you. No problem. But but for some people, that would have been a huge upheaval of emotional. It's like, oh my God, I can't afford $500. What am I going to do with that now? And the mind just goes all into that past, how they were, whatever happened to them in the past, and it just triggered that past memory. And then they have this conversation about, for whoever, wherever, whyever, however, and project that into the future, and then they spent the past next hour or a day in cortisol, fight, flight, fight, fight. So it doesn't matter how healthy the food was or whatever, it was just stolen to then feed that cortisol rush. But you could easily stop that by learning to live in the present moment. And so I'll review that again. Catch your breath. Feel your feeling wherever it is. Allow yourself to just observe that feeling while you breathe. Observe your environment. Where are you in space? Oh, wow, I'm here. And so then time stops, because you're no longer living in the past memory and the projected future. The time-space and space-time, that whole concept, right. Time is actually memory. Because without time, you have no memory. Without memory, you have no time. So in the equation of physics, space has one part of the equation, whereas time has another part. Well, time is equal to memory. It's identical. You can just interchange the words. Space-time, space-memory. Actually, if you go to my YouTube, I think I put it on my YouTube, or I will put it today. I'll put the research article on space-time, space-memory from the Renaissance Science Foundation. Really great, amazing article on that context and concept. But I digress. So when you do that, when you breathe, when you feel, when you observe your environment in space, you then recognize that the time is now, it's in the present, your mind is now quiet, as it's no longer in a memory circuit of the past, projected future. And so you just practice. Practice, 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 and you will become amazing at it. Just like I decided, hey, I'm going to practice these massage moves. And my teacher noticed it. Trust me, you'll notice it, and everyone around you is going to notice, hey, what's different about you? You're so much more calmer and more cool, calm, collected, and you got your stuff together, and wow, you're losing more weight, or you're getting stronger. Wow, your hair's not as gray. Your hairstyles will be like, well, look, your hair's growing back. And all those things are a symptom of a lot of cortisol. A lot of cortisol. Cortisol loves to live in the body, and it'll steal everything in order to keep surviving itself out there, as well as keep you stuck in, not that we blame it, but it's just the nature of the mechanism, is it keeps the mind continually going, believing that you have to have these thoughts and belief structures running the program so that the cortisol can live and stay in that high state of angst. And even though you might not feel it, it's there.
Well, Doctor, I hope people are paying attention, and I hope they will wake up and smell the coffee and get busy doing these protocols.
You know, the thing is, I know that they're listening. I know you guys are listening. I know you guys are doing it. I would love to hear your success stories. That's what I want to hear. I would love to hear your success stories. So do this. Go to Facebook. Go to the... I'll create a post today. I'll do it as soon as the show is over. I'm going to create a post and share your success stories in living the health tips of the week on the John Moore Radio Show. And start sharing your story. Love to hear your success stories. That's what I would love to hear.
That'd be great.
So let's show everybody. Let's show everybody that we are the broadcasting system that gets it, that we can handle the truth, and that we're sharing the truth of the new way of living that transcends the old belief structures of the past, projected future. And whether it be sharing the success stories of the cold alternating shower system, or mindful breathing, or, wow, I finally got rid of gluten over the past month, and look what happened. Even though, and no matter how big or how small your story is, there is another person dealing with the same thing you are every single day. And it doesn't matter if you think that it's like, oh, well, someone's story's got to be way better than this story. If that's judgment, that's past, projected future. I don't want to sound stupid or insignificant. Again, that's past, projected future. Share your story. Be real. Let's see what happens.
Let's do. People need to hear these stories, help motivate them, don't they, Doctor?
Oh, it's so motivating. It's so motivating. I've taken seminars and classes lots of times where a person gets up in the front and shares their experience and their story or their struggle. Even sharing struggles is so beneficial because everybody, no one is good at this stuff when they first start. Right. Thinking that if I start this, I have to be good at it, I don't think so, Tim. No one is good at it. You just start.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We got our last break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. More here on Friday the 9th of February, visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. If you want to gain access to this knowledge and this help, real simple, call his office, set up that first private no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. Also, we have Dr. Myers' new website linked to my links page, and you just go to my links page and click on links. I'm scrolling down here, go to links, and the links page pops up, and scroll down a little bit there, and you'll see Pi is P-H-Y, wholeness, Pi wholeness. Just click on there, and you'll have Dr. Myers' new website. Is the website complete now, Doctor, or is it got more to go?
We'll be continuing to add things, and what you're going to start seeing is blogs and videos and links through Facebook and everything, and it's phi, like the phi ratio, like the golden ratio.
Phi, not pi, but phi. Okay, phi.
Yeah.
P-H-I, phi. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to start seeing a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to have probably after I get off the line here and work with an ex-client, I'll have that post all set up. But yeah, go to the Facebook page. I'll share it onto the LibertyMan.com's Facebook page as well, so you can go to either one of them and share your story. We'd love to hear your stories, your success stories, and even to share your struggles and your questions. But this is a forum to help support and motivate each and every single person that is listening to these broadcasts and can handle the truth and wants to see their life transform physically, biologically, and emotionally.
Okay. It says here, the Phi Wholeness approach utilizes six core pillars to address the causes of decline and stress in the body. It looks like a pretty complete program to me.
Oh, it's an amazing program, and what we do is we focus on one of those three levels: physical, biochemical, or emotional, and we take you through a transformational system that helps you let go and transform those areas of your life and to get you to where you would love to see yourself being within your desired actions and your motivation.
Outstanding. Well, we're just about out of time here, Doctor. I don't want to be cut off by the music. It's been a great hour, as usual. I'm stopping by your office later today, by the way, to pick up something for Dr. Moore, and so maybe I'll see you.
I'll see you then. All right, John. Have a good night.
Thank you. Well, we had a great week here, as always. Weekend coming up. I hope you are going to do some fun things this weekend, in addition to honeydew projects, whatever they might be. And look forward to a brand new week next week with our various guests. I'm finding a lot of enthusiasm for Jeff Nyquist on Wednesdays. Jeff is a brilliant man when it comes to connecting the dots concerning international communism and how it's woven into our are core of our society in ways that you may not even suspect. In the meantime, get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms, ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive weekend, and God bless America.